It will be just a moment. Hello, Alec.
I'm too old for cloak and dagger. I got your message. I'm here. Who are you?
A benefactor, if you like.
You have something to offer me?
A future.
That's vague.
A future for your wife.
Mass Effect Andromeda was a largely disappointing 2017 release as a kind of long, distant future sequel to the Mass Effect trilogy. For all of the disappointments that game had, there were a few interesting and cool tidbits that came out. And there's one question that's bugged us in the nearly 4 years ever since, which is just what and who is the Benefactor? So we decided to take a bit of a look into some of the theories and some of what we know about the Benefactor today. Just to get started, what we know is the Benefactor is an unidentified individual or group who secretly helped fund the Andromeda initiative. The Benefactor's existence was known only to G.N. Garson, Alec Ryder, and a handful of other initiative members prior to the initiative's launch to Andromeda in 2185.
So during the events of Mass Effect Andromeda, despite being a billionaire and having access to numerous wealthy investors to fund the Andromeda initiative, Jen Garson ran out of money before she could complete the project. It was then that the Benefactor introduced itself to Garson and offered to pay for the rest. Garson accepted, and the Benefactor became a silent partner in the initiative, known only to a select few, providing unlimited funds for the project. Garson later began to question the Benefactor's intentions.
The Benefactor was also instrumental in enlisting disgraced Systems Alliance officer Alec Ryder into the initiative. At the time, Alec was working to complete his AI, Sam, which he intended to use to cure his wife's terminal medical condition. But after the Alliance learned of his illegal AI research, he was dishonorably discharged and ran out of money and contacts. The Benefactor offered to give Alec all the money he needed to finish Sam if he joined the initiative. And, like Garson, he accepted.
When the Nexus arrived in the Helios cluster in 2818, Garson was awoken shortly before the Nexus struck the Scourge, and chaos ensued. She learned that another unidentified initiative member associated with the Benefactor was trying to kill her, and hid in a secret room in an apartment in an inactive area of the station, where she recorded what she knew about the Benefactor. She was killed very soon after, and the Nexus leadership assumed her death was related to the Scourge impact and did not investigate.
Pathfinder Ryder later learns of the Benefactor when Sam's encrypted memories are unlocked and investigates Garson's death. Ryder confirms that Garson was murdered and the Benefactor ordered her death to silence her. In a later memory, Ryder uncovers the Benefactor's motive for backing the Andromeda initiative, the Reapers. Before the Battle of the Citadel in 2183, the Benefactor had already suspected an impending threat to civilization in the Milky Way, and Commander Shepard confirmed it by revealing the Reapers and their 50,000-year cycles of extinction. While the Citadel Council dismissed Shepard's reports, the Benefactor believed them and pushed to finish and launch the Andromeda initiative earlier, before the Reapers could strike, to make sure that some of the Milky Way's people would survive and make a new home in Andromeda. However, Alec's audio logs question the Benefactor's intentions and why they remained hidden.
It is unknown if the Benefactor remained in the Milky Way when the Andromeda initiative left, or if they traveled aboard one of the Arks or the Nexus.
So the Benefactor's identity was intentionally left unresolved, as it has deeper ties to the Andromeda meta story. According to the producer Mike Gamble, by the time you find Garson's killer, they're long gone. So that's really all we have. Some mentions of the Benefactor on memories by Alec Ryder, and that's about it. And the fact that Garson was killed by the Benefactor. No one else knows that the Benefactor even exists. So who are they? What are they? Is a pretty interesting question. So we've got some theories that we want to talk about. I think the first and possibly the most popular two we'll get out of the way, and then we'll talk about a couple of others. So the first one is that the Benefactor is either the Illusive Man or Cerberus in general. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so this is definitely the one that sort of initially makes the most sense, because obviously the Illusive Man is sort of a similar figure to the Benefactor, I guess, where he's sort of using his funds and his own corporation to sort of serve the ends that he thinks need to be met, whether it's like lawfully or not. And I think in this case, definitely there's a comparison to be drawn between the two, but I certainly, just based on what we've seen, definitely feel like it's probably not, but I can definitely see the the connection between the two in their methods and their sort of presentation in the series.
I think it's an easy one to sort of just say, oh, it was the Illusive Man or Cerberus, because we've had this sort of the Illusive Man, obviously prior to Mass Effect 2, in terms of the lore, was fairly quiet, I guess, and behind the scenes a little bit. Hence the name Illusive Man. And obviously Cerberus have like a seemingly endless amount of credits. But I think it's probably not Cerberus for a couple of reasons. One is that the use or the working with aliens, which Cerberus obviously are not massively well known for. So not only the fact that they didn't want to work with aliens, but they were sending arcs specifically of the different alien species, tells you that, you know, it was not a human centric organization, I would say.
It was a organic life centric decision, and yeah, as you say, these arcs were not cheap, obviously. Like a literal billionaire ran out of money, but this personal organization did not, and they were obviously building arcs for basically every major race, and so that definitely draws into question, like, Cerberus would not drop that much money on life forms that aren't human, essentially. So yeah, I think that one is fairly safe to drop as a like plausible theory, and I just think also I don't see BioWare making the Illusive Man the Benefactor, just because it's definitely like the sort of boring choice, you know. It's like a very obvious and kind of boring choice, so definitely I think we can write that one off straight away.
Yeah. The next very popular theory is that it was the Shadow Broker and potentially Liara. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think if it is the Shadow Broker, definitely it would only make sense to be Liara. I don't think the other, like the previous Shadow Broker, would be doing anything like that. As we definitely saw, it was all sort of like for profit and for power for the previous Shadow Broker. Whereas I think Liara definitely, this is something she would do. It's in character, but I'm not sure if the timelines line up, because I'm not sure exactly how early the Andromeda initiative sort of started, and how early this organization or person got involved. But it was definitely like Liara had a lot going on, with like finding Shepard's body, taking over all of the Shadow Broker accounts, helping to stop the Reapers. I'm not sure if she would have had the time to dedicate or the funds to obtain for this endeavor, as well as all of that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the timelines don't add up here. The initiative really set out for Andromeda, or at least started to do it before the events, or at least the early events of Mass Effect 2, which was before she actually became the Shadow Broker at all. So I'm not so sure that makes sense that way. Again, I think it's a fairly lazy, quick theory. Someone that has access to money, someone that's in the shadows. But I don't think that the Benefactor is Liara either. I mean, some of them will turn to the fact that Liara obviously has had conversations with Alec Ryder, but it was absolutely about other stuff, not about the initiative itself. So I don't think so. I don't think this one adds up either.
Yeah, definitely. So we sort of come to this point, I guess, so we have to think maybe it is a new character or a new organization. And I think both of us have talked about this, and I think we both sort of agree it is probably not going to be one of the original trilogy characters that we can just pluck and decide that it's them. I think it's a new character or organization. don't you?
Well, I thought it might be quite fun. I mean, I think that is definitely the case.
Yep.
It's obviously someone that has not been mentioned before. I think it might be quite fun to spend a couple of minutes or so, just having a bit of fun speculating on characters that we might know that could fit the bill. Just first, I mean, this is obviously not our theories, but just as a thought exercise, it could be quite fun. So knowing that it could be one person or it could be a group, and knowing what we know so far is that the Benefactor is the only thing we know really is that the Benefactor funded this, was keen to have it done, believed that the Reapers were a threat, and then asked for the original kind of director of it to be killed, basically, for reasons we don't know yet, obviously. So with that in mind, some of the other theories that I've seen that have made some sense, possibly, is one theory is that it's a section of the Geth.
Yeah, I could see that. Like the non-Reaper, like enhanced Geth, like the original,
Yes.
Geth.
Yeah, that are aware of the ancient machines or the old machines, that they knew about them. They built a telescope, I believe, that was designed to be able to try to look into dark space at the Reapers, so they would have known about this threat, and potentially wanted to spare, organic life. It could make sense. I'm not sure if it is, but it could make sense. Another theory that I thought was quite interesting that I've just read is that there's it's the most ridiculously side character of all side characters in the first game, who is a Volus billionaire called Kumun Shol, currently claiming that a vision of a higher being told him to seek on Glencory the lost crypts of beings of light. These entities were supposedly created at the dawn of time to protect organic life from synthetic machine devils. Shoal has been excavating on Glencory's toxic surface for 2 decades at great expense. No government has valued the world enough to evict his small army of mercenaries. So he potentially has some kind of knowledge of the Reapers already, and maybe dedicated to hire, well, he's already hired an army that's excavating on this planet, so potentially he could be involved in the funding of this project.
Yeah, I was going to say another one that's kind of a ridiculously side character-y guess is the enemy of Kasumi in Kasumi's recruitment mission at the party. Yeah, because he was quite a rich collector bloke. I don't know if he would be interested in preserving life that much, but definitely he might have the money to help fund, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he
that
might
type.
be.
Yeah.
Plus, at the end of that mission, you do kill him. So
that's true. That's true.
Even if he might be involved, if it's maybe a group, but I'm not sure if it's the. I'm not sure if he's a sole benefactor anyway.
Yeah. But just funny to mention for sure.
Absolutely. One theory is a combination of theories is either the Leviathans or a couple of potential breakaway Reapers themselves.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, maybe a breakaway Reaper of some sort, but I think in both cases there, how do they acquire the credits, I guess?
Well, over the cycles, if it's the Reapers over the cycles, they've been around, for countless cycles of this, they probably, they probably have been able to, get enough stuff potentially to either use agents that can sell the stuff for them in the current cycle and get the current, currency of credits. It's possible, and it's possible that maybe these Reapers just didn't agree with the overall goal this time, or maybe saw something different in this cycle that they wanted to preserve, or maybe it is something that happens repeatedly, like maybe the Angarans and the Ket and the Remnant are actually also stuff that has been sent to Andromeda from the Milky Way on past cycles.
Yeah, maybe. It's definitely interesting to think about.
I mean, my best guess overall is that it's a group. Maybe it could be headed up by someone, but it's a group that have all kind of put in on it. And it's probably characters that haven't been massively introduced yet. Like, it's brand new characters of some sort. But I mean, in terms of going back to the Reaper thing for a second, I mean, if you look at Sam, the AI, like, that's a massively advanced AI, like, even beyond pretty much what Edie can do. And, you know, you think that one guy, Alec Ryder, working on that, it doesn't make sense that he himself could come up with that, if you ask me. Especially how big they make it in Andromeda. So, I mean, there's got to be some influence on that somehow. Like, I don't know. You know, there's more to this, and obviously it was set up for sequels of Andromeda and stuff, and it looks like we're probably never going to get that again. But hopefully there's something released that maybe, you know, the person that created the Benefactor can actually expand on that idea and create it. But I hope it's not one of those ideas that was sort of put in there and they had no plan on what they does.
Yeah, so I guess just before we finish up, I'd love to sort of get your opinion on this. Do you think the Benefactor is a character that would have traveled on the Ark, or do you think it's somebody who remained in the Milky Way and will sort of was doing it, I guess, like for the good of organic life, or do you reckon they also did it to preserve their own and have sort of a future with all the species?
It's got to be someone. It's got to be someone that was involved in one of the arcs somewhere. I think it's got to be. And remember, in the game Andromeda, we only really see 2 of the arcs, maybe 3, don't we? Come to light. So I think there's a really good chance that it's someone that is actually in the Andromeda galaxy at this point.
Yeah.
And look, there's every possibility that if you go down the path of AI, and obviously, you know, we're in a sci-fi world or universe, there's a chance that the Benefactor was a non-Milky Way resident or a non-organic Milky Way resident.
Yeah.
That's, you know, maybe the Sam AI itself, you know, somehow with some kind of time warp, you know, thing, because AI obviously can do a lot more than what we can, but there's a chance that it's, you know, that it is something that we sort of know about already, but there's some kind of weird, you know, crisscross, twist, turn, you know, mind-melding theory over it.
Yeah, I guess just like the only way that they could have given the kill order, I guess, would make sense for them to actually be present in Andromeda on one of the arcs. And it also, yeah, I guess it makes sense that they would want to sort of keep their identity secret, because obviously they have large amounts of funding, so it would be obvious who they are if some extremely rich person was allowed onto an arc. So obviously, yeah, it must have been, you know, under like a new identity or hidden in some way, so that they could still keep an eye on the project whilst also being like under the radar. So yeah, definitely, I think they were planning to reveal who it was at some point, and I'm not sure if they already knew who they were planning for it to be, or whether it's somebody they were going to sort of show us when we get to it.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, it's also possible that, I guess, as a group, like, it's maybe a breakaway governing council, you know, obviously all the different species and stuff like that's possible. Yeah. Or even the council themselves, you know, that they didn't want to be seen to be doing this because obviously that would attract fear amongst the wider population. But maybe they secretly knew that the only way they could, you know, that maybe they did know about this. I don't know, but it's possible. It's possible that they did that. But either way, I think it's an intriguing question, and probably the best question that was asked during the game of Andromeda.
For sure, yeah.
And I guess the one shame about the fact that Andromeda looks like it's dead in the waters now is that this is a question we may have to face and never have answered.
Yeah, and I think, again, right before we end off, I think this is one that was sort of, they sort of had a lot of distractions that stopped us from being able to find out about this one. I think I remember when the game first came out, this wasn't something that people were asking for a long time. It was sort of the original fans who sort of were interested in the lore that stuck to the game even after the pretty rough release, that eventually found this, like the dialogue and the secret details that you can get off of Sam, that sort of started this as an interesting theory. And I think a lot of the more mainstream fans were more just caught up on like the Cora Harper like surname, and that sort of just distracted from the fact that actually the Benefactor is definitely like the more interesting question being asked. So I don't know. I really do hope it gets answered. It's one of the few things from Andromeda that I'd really love to get some closure on in hopefully the next game that I believe is currently under development already.
Yeah, fingers crossed we see something. Even if it's a Milky Way based sequel, it would be nice to have something that maybe answers this question.
Yeah, just to give us some closure on this character or organization.
Absolutely. What do you guys think? Let us know what your theories are in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.
You're out of money. Your contacts have dried up. You can't finish Sam.
How do you know about...
I can help you. Whatever you need.
Start by telling me what you need.
Your AI is more than a cure for your wife. It could also be the salvation for many others.
I don't follow.
Where we're going, we'll need a different perspective to understand things.
Where's that? The Andromeda Galaxy?
I have a proposal for you. And Ellen doesn't have much